Alright, controversial TF2 opinions. Well, I mean, potentially controversial. While I'm sure some of these hot takes will rile up certain viewers to an extent, there's also a fair few I kind of expect the consensus to just be, yeah, that's fair. Regardless, I'm just some guy who plays this one video game a lot, and happens to have a lot to say about said video game. Like, a lot. I actually have so much to say I'm dividing it up into 3 or 4 videos of me just babbling on about my shitty opinions regarding TF2. This first one mainly focusing on Scout, Soldier, and Pyro as well as their unlockable weapons. Yeah, this might not be the best video to make while I'm trying to get people to like me and continue to watch videos of mine, but it's better I'm honest with what I think about certain weapons than just try to get on everyone's good side. I'm not here to force my opinions down your throat or anything, you know, convert you to the Holiday Punch haters call, nothing like that. I just genuinely want to share these with people and get feedback, so if you disagree with anything I say throughout this video, kindly express your questions and concerns in the comment section down below, and kindly smash the dislike button, respectfully of course. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's get started. Number 1. Scout is the most well-balanced class in the game. I don't even play a whole lot of Scout, but when I do, it's almost always a good time. But that alone doesn't make a class well-balanced. He's also fun to fight against. I never really found myself getting frustrated or feel cheated while fighting a Scout. He just deals a very reasonable amount of damage. His amount of health and speed are a great balance. The fact that he can double jump opens up so many opportunities for him. I just think his base kit is perfect, and I wouldn't change a single thing about it. Whereas with every other class, there's at least one thing I would change about their base kit or stock weapons. Some major, some minor. Not Scout, though. Number 2. The backscatter isn't a bad weapon. When it comes to Scout's primaries, I think that just about everyone can agree that these ones are good and these ones are bad. But the backscatter is kind of subjective. Fish Stick on a Stick did a Bad Weapon Academy on the backscatter, and it's pretty based, I guess, but it kind of over-exaggerates certain things and makes the weapon out to be worse than it is. Still a good video, though. The accuracy penalty is barely noticeable, and only having 4 shots on a scattergun is fine. After all, that's not what makes these two bad. I also don't think you should hyper-focus on flanking when you have this equipped. Just play Scout like normal and try to get behind people when you can. It's not as good as the Soda Popper or Force of Nature, and not nearly as good as stock, but it's not straight up bad. I won't deny that it could certainly use a buff, though. Number 3. The Criticola isn't annoying. Okay, fine, it is annoying, but only for the person who's using it. Like, what? Why do people complain when this is used? It's not good. Just shoot the Scout. He takes way more damage. I mean, you take more damage too, so it's balanced. I don't get the problem people have with this. Number 4. The Winger is underpowered. The jump height boost isn't enough to warrant it only having a clip size of 5. Make it 7. Yeah, I know it has a damage bonus, but that isn't enough to warrant it only having a clip size of 5. Make it 7. Number 5. The Pretty Boy's pocket pistol is overpowered. The fact that it has a clip size of 9 while also giving health on hit as well as a faster firing speed is ridiculous. Make it 7. Yeah, I know it's only 3 health on hit and it's just a pistol, so it doesn't really matter and no one cares, but still, make it 7. Number 6. Hitting people with a fish isn't nearly as funny as you think it is.
If I ever make a video that's just a compilation of me hitting people with fish, I'm just gonna name it Fish. Like, it's just gonna be the TF2 tag at the beginning and then just Fish.
That's a good name.
That's it. Yeah, it's Fish. That's it. It's over. Is this an original idea? No, not really. Has this been done before? Yeah, absolutely. Is it still funny?
No, not anymore. Maybe it was kind of funny in 2018, 2019, but the joke's over, guys. People are still doing this shit nowadays and still act surprised when they don't bottom score. I don't know why it gets on my nerves so much, it really shouldn't, but I'm still gonna go into detail about this. So because Scout's melee swings faster, it's gonna swing more in a short amount of time, and because it swings more, by nature, it's gonna get more crits, which deal 105 damage per hit. I'm kinda having trouble getting this across, but what I'm trying to say is running at people with a fish, or a bat, or any stock melee weapon reskin for Scout, and just beating the shit out of whoever you see, considering they can't outrun you, so they have to defend themselves, isn't nearly as terrible of a strategy as you would think. But whatever, it's haha funny fish XD. Fish shouldn't be a weapon, right? Yeah, you're right, that's hilarious. What a shame that it's not even an original idea. Number 7. The Candy Cane is the worst melee weapon in the game. I could make a whole video about this in and of itself, which I might actually do eventually. I know Fish Stick on a Stick did a Bad Weapon Academy on this one too, but I don't think he really did enough justice to how terrible it is. He even considered not even doing an episode on it because it counters Pyro. Sure, whatever. Alright, you wanna know why I think it's the worst melee weapon? Here's the short version. A small health pack is way less useful than you think. The small health pack can be picked up by your enemies. Demomen and soldiers are very, very common, and 25% is a lot. I'm sure a plethora of other shitty melee weapons pop into your mind, but when I make a full video on why I think this is, yes, I've decided I'm going to do that at some point, I'll compare it to every bad melee I can think of and explain why it's worse. Number 8. The only thing the Boston Basher is good for is building Uber.
Do you think that, like, any fucking neural network today would be able to, like, Airblast teammates?
Almost extinguished you.
Oh, it's okay, I would have died anyway. I was gonna call this weapon straight up useless, but then I remembered how good it is for building Uber. Apart from that though, okay, people look at this thing's stats and just go, oh, it's literally just a direct upgrade as long as you don't miss. Yeah, yup, that's true. Here's the thing, you're gonna miss a lot. Again, how Scout's melee works. Swings faster, swings more. You're gonna miss more. If you compare a Scout melee fight versus any other class melee fight, Scouts kinda just hold down the attack button and run at each other until someone dies, whereas with other classes, there's a lot more of going in for a hit and backing up to avoid getting hit. You're rewarded for taking a chance and going in for a hit with a nice 65 damage, but you're punished for missing by not being able to just go in for another swing the next millisecond. But since Scout swings so fast, it doesn't matter if he misses, and he's putting out more consistent melee damage anyways. So why take the bleed penalty for missing when otherwise it wouldn't matter at all? And why take the bleed damage bonus when you don't really need the extra constant damage output? What I'm really trying to say is that the Basher would be a good weapon for any other class really. Put it on Demo Man, the 3-rune blade would be a cool Demo Knight sword. Now that I think about it, a lot of Scouts' bad melee weapons wouldn't be nearly as bad if they were for other classes. The Candy Cane would be an interesting support tool for Heavy. He would be able to He would be able to tank less explosive damage, but without dying in one hit like Scout, and actually get a bunch of kills so there's more health dropping for him and his teammates. Number 9. The Fan of War and the Sun on a Stick aren't terrible weapons. Scout's main source of damage isn't his melee, it's his scattergun, so I don't understand why the damage penalty on both these weapons makes everyone think they're god-awful. Yeah, the fans is a lot, making the base damage only 9, but all you have to do is hit someone with it once, and they're marked for death for 15 seconds. That's a while in TF2 time. Shit happens fast. Not that you should run up to all enemies you encounter and try and mark them, but if you sneak up on someone and you get the opportunity, why not go for it? It pretty much lowers their effective health by 35% for the next 15 seconds, which is probably longer than the fight would even last. The Sun on a Sticks penalty is only 25%, and it can still random crit. The crits versus burning players is a weird stat, but it makes the most sense for Scout. If you see a burning player, you're going to be able to take advantage of it since they can't outrun you. Should you? Probably not most times. It's still a weird stat and isn't good, but it's not nearly as bad as people shit on it for. And hey, 25% resistance to fire damage. Pyros suck, so why not? Number 10. Soldier's stock rocket launcher might deal a little too much damage. Now I say this as a soldier main, and not just a, oh I play every class but just happen to play soldier a little more. No, I'm a soldier main. But yeah, I just play soldier and I mainly use stock. Well, at least when I'm not doing this.
I said knock knock, let the devil in, alien, Elliot, phone home.
And I often feel a little too powerful. I don't know. I just don't think Soldier would suffer that much if his base damage was like, I don't know, 83 instead of 90. I don't really want to give an exact number because playing around with the stats of a stock weapon as influential as the rocket launcher is a little scary, but just saying, like, in my ideal balance mod, stock rockets deal less than 90 base damage. Number 11. 50% of everyone who equips the original has a god complex. Just something I've noticed that people don't seem to pick up on. Like half the time I kill an original soldier multiple times, which can be difficult because they usually are decent at the game. They tend to shit their diaper a little bit. No hate if you use it over stock, some people just be like that, you know? Number 12. The black box is not a crutch. I don't use the black box, but I will defend it. If you use it with a conch and or have a pocket medic, then of course it's a crutch. No one needs that much healing to play the game. But on its own, the black box kinda sucks, honestly. It's not a bad weapon, of course, it's still a fucking rocket launcher, but 3 rockets instead of 4? That's significant. Like, I haven't been counting, but I'm sure in all my hours of playing Soldier, that 4th rocket has probably saved my ass more times than I would guess. And people really overestimate its upside. 20 health on hit? That's way too much. Up to. It says up to 20 health. 20's the max. On average, you're getting 9 or 10 health back. It's gotta be like a close-range direct hit for you to heal 20. Start showing some respect for your local black box soldier and maybe even try it out for yourself. Number 13. People who spam the Cow Mangler's charge shot at or down a choke point should uninstall the game. I played a lot of 2 Fort. Don't judge me for that. And occasionally I come across someone who just binged old Soundsmith videos. One such video being where he encourages you to spam charge shots at the battlements, which is annoying as fuck. He says in the video, oh, no one's gonna just stand there and let a charge shot hit them in the face. Yeah, no shit, but when you spam it, and that's one of 3 ways to exit the base, people are gonna get hit. It's just mindless free damage and kills. I actually ran into some guy that like, only does this. And I know that because he really got under my skin, so I remembered his name, and when me and my friends ran into him again, he was doing the same thing. Like, how is this fun? Just play the game normally, be adventurous, leave your base. Number 14, the Liberty Launcher is not a bad weapon. Yeah, I don't really use it, but I would 100% use it over the Airstrike and Beggar's Bazooka. Not because those weapons are bad, just a preference. I understand why people say the Liberty Launcher is bad. They see the damage penalty and go, whoa, 25%? That's way too much. And yeah, it is a bit much, but man, that extra rocket is nice, and the projectile speed as well as rocket jumping damage resistance is nothing to scoff at. At the end of the day, this thing's still a rocket launcher and you can still mess shit up with it. Number 15. The buff banner needs some kind of passive buff like the other banners. I don't know what it would be, like I literally have 0 suggestions off the top of my head, but it needs something. Conk gets passive healing, Battalions gets max health, the buff banner gets nothing. But it should get something, you know? Number 16, the Mantreads are pretty much useless. The go-to secondary for Trolgers. But like, why though? I never notice the increase in air control when I have these things on. I however do notice the ear-piercing whistling sound they make as you're soaring through the air. But yeah, I just don't find them useful in the slightest. Yeah, the knockback resistance can be useful, but not as useful as an extra 20 health. The Battalions have saved my ass with just this one stat so many times. Plus, every once in a while you get moments like these. Whereas the Mantreads are purely cosmetic. Number 17. The Panic Attack might as well be a reskin. The old Panic Attack was just so much cooler. Whether you think it was balanced or not, you have to at least know it was interesting. Its new stats are just way too similar to stock to the point where you kinda have to overanalyze them to tell the difference in game. Number 18. This is where people are probably gonna start to fucking hate me. Pyro as a class fucks up the fundamentals of balance in TF2. Yes, I'm a Pyro hater and a proud member of this Steam group. Why? I'll tell you. No hate to anyone who plays Pyro, by the way. I don't hate Pyro players, I hate Pyro himself. I'm not gonna shit on you for playing whatever class you wanna play. I'm gonna shit on the devs for making the decision to add Pyro in the first place. Hate the game, not the player, you know what I mean? Anyways, every class has their counters. Engineer counters Scout, Scout counters Demo, Sniper counters everyone, whereas Pyro, in a 1v1 situation, has a decent chance against just about any class. He may struggle against Engineer or Sniper, but so would most other classes without a team backing them up. And against Heavy, it's almost a fair matchup. Other classes, though, in 1v1 scenarios, have a counter that will almost always demolish them. But Pyro has a pretty good chance of coming out on top each time. What else? Pyro counters Pyro. He's immune to Afterburn, but wouldn't need to be if Pyro didn't exist. He extinguishes teammates, but wouldn't need to if Pyro didn't exist. He can push people away from him with his Airblast. Who is this most effective against? Pyro. Most other classes perform optimally at mid to long range. Does this make sense? What I'm trying to say is that Pyro solves problems that wouldn't exist if he didn't exist. That was probably weird as fuck to listen to, but I'm just saying what my brain's thinking, even if it doesn't make much sense. Number 19. Pyro's Airblast is too rewarding. Yes, I know. I'm the soldier-maniest soldier man you've ever seen. It just does too much shit, and it's too easy to use, and it's too spammable, and it costs nothing. I don't mind that it has multiple uses actually, I think that's good. It would be boring if it were just a one-use type thing. But if it was less efficient in any other aspect, it would just feel so much more fair to fight against. Make the hitbox smaller so the Pyro has to focus more and can't reflect shit all the way over here. Or make the use time slower so Pyros have to time their reflex better and can't just spam it. Or make it cost more ammo so Pyros have to conserve ammo more often and decide whether or not it's a good time to reflect or is it worth it, you know, shit like that. Number 20. Afterburn should deal less damage. Okay, this one's not as big of a deal. I don't want to dwell on Pyro's base stats and stock weapons too long, just I'm almost certain 3 or 2 damage per tick would be infinitely better than 4. Alright, I'm done now, I promise. No more shitting on Pyro's stock weapons. Number 21. I would much rather live in a world where the Dragon's Fury replaces stock. Okay, I'm sorry, I know I said I was done, but I couldn't help myself. I think everything I've said up to this point kind of explains this one. The Dragon's Fury takes a bit of skill to pull off, and it's not a bad weapon at all. I have a lot of respect for the good Pyros that use this regularly. Number 22. Equipping the Thermal Thruster should prevent you from being able to pick up the intel. The Rocket Jumper has this stat, the Sticky Jumper has this stat, and the Thermal Thruster should have this stat for the same reasons. That's all. Number 23. The stock Fire Axe should do something. Naturally, Pyro's stock melee sucks, since there's never really a reason for him to use it. Every other class occasionally runs out of bullets in the clip and may resort to melee. I do it as soldier all the time. If my target's not dead after I fire 4 rockets and they're in whipping range, you best believe I'm going for it. There's always a scenario for other classes in which they can't deal immediate damage. Maybe Heavy's caught without his sandwich out but hasn't started eating it. Maybe Demoman has to reload or doesn't want to blow himself up on a point-blank target. But with Pyro, he can always just pull his flamethrower out and start flaming. Even when he runs out of ammo, which is rare unless you're constantly spamming Airblast without killing anyone, his best and most commonly used secondaries are weapons, whereas other classes may have a banner equipped, or a jar of milk, or a shield, or a banana, or a laser pointer, or a jar of piss. But Pyro usually has a shotgun or a flare gun. So, I don't know, give me a reason to pull it out. Not all stock weapons have to just not have stats. They could do bleed damage or something, I don't know. Just make the extinguisher stats stock so that combo Pyro is stock Pyro and the extinguisher can just be a reskin. Also remove SketchX's Bequest. Something like that. Just don't be so afraid to mess with stock weapons. No game is perfect in its balancing. TF2's not exempt from that. That's a little hot take / controversial opinion in and of itself. And with that, I have nothing more to say regarding these three. Those were all my potentially controversial opinions that have to do with Pyro, Scout, and Soldier. So let me know what you think in the comments. Overall, based or cringe? My most base take, my most cringe take? And why not throw in a hot take of your own in the comments if you got one? I'll reply to them. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want to be informed when I make the sequel to this video in which I'll cover Demoman, Heavy, and Engineer. You have a good day now.